Thank you for all you're doing. Appreciate everybody gathering together for a little bit. I know that it's a big team from the Emergency Operations Center who's here all the time. And so thank you all for the work that you've been doing. I just wanted to provide a bit of an update on what has been an incredibly busy now, 6 weeks. And I just want to, first of all, thank everybody for the tremendous work that has gone in to supporting Southwest Virginia in this recovery. I wanted to cover 3 big buckets. Let me just first talk about the efforts on public assistance, which is really important to all the jurisdictions. We have 36 registrants for public assistance. Roanoke County is now in the process of hopefully being approved by FEMA to receive public assistance as well. There's been 93 applications for assistance within those counties, and 19 have been approved. So the process of assessing the public assistance needs, making filings, and receiving support is working. There's also been some, and by the way, the amount of money that's been received already is $20 million. It's already flowed to folks who have requested public assistance. Again, this is public assistance. We'll get the individual assistance in a minute. That's fine. Thank you. Oh, thank you. We've also had 2 important future grants that have come, one for flood mitigation and the other for hazard mitigation going forward. They total $59 million that will be put to work in order to help prevent future damage from future emergencies. We've also pressed forward with our personal debris removal that the state is managing. To put that in context, if you've been forced to have to clean out debris from your home and it's in your yard, you want it to go away. And so starting next week, we have now 7 counties that are participating in personal debris removal, and that is a really good thing because we really start the meaningful cleanup. One of our biggest projects is at Clater Lake, and Clater Lake has completed about 10% of its debris removal. We would expect that to accelerate rapidly. There is an assessment going on right now as to how much remaining debris removal there is, and that will, of course, guide the work going forward. We're pleased with the progress at Clater Lake. It's really important to get this taken care of quickly. A lot of people, their livelihood, but also their homes are on Clater Lake, and so it is a big project and one that is moving quickly. With regards to individual assistance, this is very important for people who have suffered a loss in a variety of ways, and in particular, their residence or their home. We've had 10,000 registrations for individual assistance. Out of those registrations, what have been ordered is 2,700 home inspections, and so you can get a sense that a little bit more than 7,000 of those registrants needed something besides support for their home. The team has almost completed all of the home inspections, and so that's fabulous. And so that allows those individual assistance applications or registrations to move. Even to date, there's been $10.5 million paid out in individual assistance to Virginians who need the help. I'm encouraged by the pace of the work here. Although at any time it's a day too long, people who have lost so much continue to just be anxious about when the assistance is going to arrive. And so I want to thank our friends from both VDEM and from FEMA for accelerating that process. With that, there are still 8 disaster recovery centers operational in the region, and those are really important places for Virginians to go get their support. On top of that, there is an enhanced applicant services team available, so people need individual assistance in order to either file for their first registration or to respond if they have had which is a rejection letter, which really isn't a rejection letter. Most of the time, it's we need more information. I am encouraged that the most common issue for rejection letters has been we can't get in touch with you. And so we just need to speak with you about a topic, and that's where the enhanced applicant services and the disaster recovery centers are so important. So there's personal touch for folks, and we continue to work to try to find those folks. But oftentimes there is an interaction necessary. That interaction sometimes is around the fact that there are elements that people have filed for that don't qualify for individual assistance. For example, if you had a refrigerator that was full of your most recent trip to the grocery store and it was lost, you can't claim that under individual assistance. And sometimes we just need to speak with people and let them know that so that they can get their application correct. Sometimes they just need more information. And oftentimes there's an insurance payment that exceeds and covers what the FEMA support otherwise would cover. These are the big reasons why people need to be contacted or taken through a process. And at the end of the day, though, the top issue for folks that are receiving the rejection letters is we need to speak with you live, and we're having trouble getting in touch with you. And so I encourage everyone to, one, respond immediately if you receive a letter that says you haven't been approved, and get to one of the disaster recovery centers. Contact FEMA. You can go to the website at www.fema.gov. And finally, there is an enhanced applicant services team that will help you through this process. 10,000 registrations have been filed. People are receiving the support. The process is working, and I just encourage folks to please participate. We had a big success with our 4 farm recovery events or centers. This was a very innovative process that the state and FEMA worked on together. 17 agencies come together on each one of these events, and we've had now over 270 farmers who have been serviced through this, who needed support in order to react to their losses during the flood. And then finally, what I wanted to cover a little bit was what happens next. First of all, for individual assistance, there is a final deadline to file, and I encourage everyone to make sure they understand that after December 2nd, you will not be able to register for individual assistance. And so that's why we're getting the word out to everybody. Please, if you have had any kind of loss and you're in an individual assistant designated area, please go and make sure you file your registration and get the support that you deserve. And then second of all, from a big picture standpoint, we are accumulating the aggregate damage, expense, and estimates for the entire storm. We're finalizing that now. And as you can imagine, there's lots of inputs into this. I'm very appreciative of the tremendous amount of work that everyone has undertaken. We'll be communicating next week with the White House and with Congress in order to communicate and submit the kinds of supports that we think in aggregate that Virginia will need. And that will be covered by hopefully a series of congressional movements with regards to incremental funding for FEMA, incremental funding for the SBA, incremental funding for HUD, incremental funding for the USDA. And there's lots of subcategories under there, but we are aggregating all of that into one estimates of the economic impact and damage from this storm. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody here who has been so involved in helping us aggregate that. We've had local folks, we've had inspectors, we've had estimators, we've had the folks from the the Virginia Department of Transportation, the Army Corps of Engineers. It's just been a great effort, and so thank you all for helping us pull that together. It's going to be a very important communication next week for us to represent Virginians as this important legislation is expected to get started through the Congress. So with that, we have a lot of work still to do. There are a lot of people who are still in need of support, and I just thank you all for your unfailing commitment to provide that support. I also just want to say thank you for the great work you have done. And for Virginians now, as we look back on that fateful Friday at the end of September, and we think about the damage that was done and the community devastation, I just can't tell you how much we all appreciate the tremendous work that all of you have done in order to help people get back on the pathways of recovery. There's a lot of work to do still, in addition to providing the support for people to rebuild homes or repair homes, to get businesses up and running, to get Clear Lake cleaned up, to get Highway 58 repaired, which is going to be a long-term project, to get the debris removed, to get businesses back on their feet, to get the Creeper Trail fixed in collaboration with the federal government, which is going to be a longer-term project. There is a lot to do, and so I don't need to suggest that we are anywhere near the end of this, but at this moment, I just deeply appreciate the work that everyone is doing. So with that, we're going to do questions here, we're going to do questions right here. I'm happy to take a few questions. Yes, so we are in discussion of what the state may be able to do, and we first need to identify what the federal government's going to do, and then we will respond accordingly. I am optimistic that the federal government and the support from the federal government is going to be extensive, and then the states will step back and see what we'll need to do. It's certainly on the table and something that we've had good discussions with the General Assembly partners with, but we have to wait to see what the federal government ultimately funds. Sure. Yes, ma'am.
In speaking about relief efforts, there was a prompt earlier today in the Senate to refill the Small Business Administration Disaster Relief Program, and one that Senator Warner to respond to, saying that it's going to cause many businesses, including here in Virginia, to shutter. What are your opinions on that, and how do you believe this will affect Virginia?
Well, as I said, I first believe that there will be bills, because I'm told, because we've been in conversations with, of course, Senator Warner and Senator Kane. We've been in conversations with our congressional delegation in the House, really led by Morgan Griffith, who represents the 9th, where most of this damage was taking place, but all of our leadership, in addition to Speaker Johnson's office, and folks in all the departments coming under the executive branch. And I believe there will be a number of agencies funded, one of which needs to be the SBA. But as I said, we need FEMA to receive incremental funding, we need HUD to receive incremental funding, we need USDA to receive incremental funding. And so I would expect that they would probably do this all in one batch, as opposed to sequencing out. But I'm a governor, not in the House or the Senate. And so I'll leave that to them. I would expect that over the course of the next couple weeks, the funding estimates that we will be providing, along with other states, will be incorporated in need. And of course, that will be translated into specific support from SBA, from HUD, from USDA, from FEMA, and other agencies. Thank you. Question. Yeah.
Of the 10,000 registrants for the individual assistance, how many did you say actually received what they need, and then how many is left, and what is the time frame?
So wonderful question, and I was just asking all of those exact same questions, and we monitor this every day. So out of the 10,000, those are that have been registered, that are in process, and some of which have received rejection letters. And so it's the full group, and therefore how quickly people can respond to the issues that might have led to a letter that said you haven't been covered yet, come back and see us. That's probably a longer time frame because we do those before we go through work. The fact that the home inspections are nearly finished is a really good thing. And so that process of getting the home inspection done so that the damage assessment can then be translated into processing of support is really important. And then finally, the fact that $10.5 million has already started to flow gives us confidence that the system is working. It never goes fast enough. And as I said, from literally the day, the Saturday morning after the Friday floods, that I was in Damascus, And every time I've been back to Southwest Virginia since, there is a real sense of thankfulness that people are on the road to recovery, but there is a question about how quickly can I receive my aid. And so this team has been working really hard, but they also know that I'm behind them, pushing them very hard to go faster. And I just appreciate the responsiveness. I have to say, having the home inspections done is such an important step, because that is the critical input into processing, particularly the individual systems for housing.
Thank you all so much.
Great. Thank you.